name is Jeff. I am a chef, and this is the Texas Flavor Kitchen. Alright, so today I'm making my crab coconut curry. This is a very easy, very fast recipe. It's extremely healthy. As you can see, all these veggies I've got here. I've got carrots, cauliflower, shallots, sweet peppers, ginger, garlic, and there's a tomato chopped up under there just because I needed to use it up. So this is going to be a red curry. You can see most of the veggies are reddish to some extent. But also what makes it a red curry is this stuff right here, red curry paste, which is usually cooked down with coconut milk. And I like mine spicy, my girlfriend not so much. There's some togarashi I'm going to finish it off with. If you're not familiar, it's chili powder, orange zest, sesame seeds, and a little seaweed in there. Japanese seasoning. And I got a little cilantro, lime, and green onion to garnish. And so what I've done here, we like to cook it with crab. I just bought pre-cooked Dungeness crab from the store. We pulled all the meat out of the claws, which is back here, made sure there's no shell in there. And then I took the shells and crushed them up as much as I could, added a little salt and water. I'm going to make a broth out of that. Then I'm going to take that broth, put it into this pot, add all my veggies at once, and just simmer them down until they're tender. After I've done that, I'm going to put them in the blender and blend that with the coconut milk, the chili paste, and once it's a nice smooth puree, we'll add the crab meat and then garnish. So you can see I got my crab shell boiling in the water. I got the lid on to make sure not too much water evaporates off. Why am I doing this? Well, number one, it's for flavor, right? The shell is going to give out a lot of flavor and make a broth, which I will then use to cook down the veggies, kind of infusing that crab flavor throughout. Also, all the tiny little pieces of meat we couldn't pull out, that's protein. Don't let that go to waste. And of course, as those shells break down, there's some good minerals in there, so nutrition. Okay, so my crab broth, that went about 10 minutes or so. Very important, you're going to want to strain this through fine mesh if you've got it. Make sure there's no shell in there. Nothing worse than getting a bite of sharp shell stuck in your throat or something like that, right? Alright, so there is my crab broth, as you can see. Quick little tip, if you like to garden and compost, these shells are nice and broken down already. Add a great source of minerals to your compost. They'll take a while to break down, but over the course of a year or two, they'll start leaching into your roots and making your plants happy. Alright, so I'm going to add most of this. It's probably not all going to fit. Really my most important ingredient as far as getting the texture right, I want to add all this cauliflower. Cauliflower, when you cook it down and then puree it, it makes it nice and creamy. The carrots as well. Might have put a little too much ginger and garlic on the plate, so I might not add all that. Well, never mind, it all fit quite nicely. I'm going to go ahead and put it on high heat and get the lid on just to get it up to a nice little boil, and then I'll turn it down and remove the lid and let some of that excess liquid evaporate off. This will probably go about 10 to 15 minutes, just until it's tender. Okay, so this has been simmering for right at 10 minutes. You can see it's yellow now. It's because I added some turmeric as well as some salt and pepper just to give it a little bit more of that superfood goodness as well as the color. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. I'm going to use this lid. It's got the holes here. I'm going to use that to strain out the liquid just so I don't end up with soup in the end, right? So I'm going to puree the veggies in my blender, and I'll add liquid as needed if it's too thick. Alright, so I got my cooked veggies in the blender. I'm going to add some red curry paste. If you've never used it, it's pretty strong stuff. That's probably going to do it, but we'll see. We'll taste after it's all blended. And start with about 1/3 of a can of coconut milk. This is full strength, so it's got a lot of fat in it. It's going to make it nice and thick and creamy. And then I'm going to just add a ladleful of my cooking liquid. It's got so much flavor and nutrition in there. And we'll see what the consistency is like after I blend. Okay, so you can see the consistency. It's a nice thick puree, kind of looks like baby food, and I've tasted it. It needs a little bit more of the red curry paste. And because it's so thick, again, I don't want it to turn into a soup, but I don't want it so thick. So I'm going to add another ladle full of my liquid. And it's got a lot of coconut flavor already, and I think it's got plenty of the coconut milk. So just another ladle full of liquid, and you just keep adding, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of salt as well. Okay, I'm ready to plate. I checked the consistency, the flavor, I'm happy with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and add, just a nice big pinch of crab. I got a lot here. It's probably about 3 or 4 servings, so, good amount of crab. We'll go ahead and pour over. Watch the consistency here. It's nice and smooth, not too thick, not too thin. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead, this will be mine, so I'm gonna add a dash of this togarashi. It's pretty pungent stuff, pretty spicy, so not too much. Just about like that. Garnish with a little green onion, a little bit of cilantro, and just a squeeze of lime for some acid. And that's it. One of the healthiest things you'll ever make. Only took 30 minutes start to finish.